Okay, so this is going to be another low effort, low production video here. This is the Lightning Elite OTF, and about a week or two ago, Grindworks put out a video saying that they were carrying these, and I immediately wondered if there was reason to be excited. And I know the gal in the video talked about how we had a black pocket clip and a black button and black screws, which I don't care that much about. But when she deployed the blade, it just seemed smoother in the video. And she had made mention of how it was a much smoother action in and out, which told me that maybe they made some changes on the inside, but I was a little skeptical. Here is my original OTF Lightning. I want to say that I got this almost exactly a year ago or so, and it's a great little knife, but I played with it constantly, and because of that, I wore out these hooks that were in here. Now, I had already shot this video yesterday, but when I went back and rewatched it, I was not pleased. So I'm going to try to do my best to redo what I did yesterday, minus the mistakes, so on and so forth. So anyways, one of the things that I pointed out in the other video was that the hooks here were damaged, especially the one in the front. I completely disassembled it on video and showed that I was able to straighten it out, but you can't do that too many times. When the metal bends, it will, and you bend it back, it's weakened, and eventually it'll crack, and eventually it'll break. So this was sloppy, just wiggling it back and forth. The blade was, bouncing around. Now it's not too bad. I was hoping that they improved that over here, and they dampened the spring noise, but the spring noise isn't a big issue. I've got a video several videos talking about that. Basically, I just coat the springs with some sort of grease. Again, not to beat on a dead horse, but not to lubricate anything, but just to coat the spring and dampen the sound. Okay? All right, so anyway, so here's the knife. I do like that pocket clip is black. I know earlier I wasn't that excited. I mentioned I wasn't excited. What I really wanted was the action on the inside. But if we talk about the outside first, which there isn't much to say, we'll eventually move on to the inside. I am going to disassemble both of these knives and show the difference. I already did this yesterday. If you look, you'll see splotches of Loctite because I made a mess putting them back together. But we're going to go ahead and pretend like that didn't happen and just talk about the knife. So it is comfortable. These have been comfortable. I do like the black handle. I do like the black blade. I wish the whole thing was black, but whatever. I did go with the Tonto edge, and I did shave my arm yesterday. I can do it again here. Seems to be grabbing the hair, not so much shaving it, but it shaved it. There might be some dull spots. I've always been kind of curious how this blade can be all the way back in here and not damage this end of the edge. But that's not something I'm too super familiar with. These are basically just package openers for me. Just one-handed open and close. Doesn't take a lot of effort. They have some sort of, it almost looks like they're trying to mimic skin here on the handle on both sides. One thing that always kind of struck me as a little weird was this edge was kind of sharp. Basically, there's two halves here. The top quarter comes off when you remove these 6 screws. And you can see there was this edge here where they didn't quite mesh up, or they just didn't finish that out or something. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's completely smooth over here because those grooves continue on over onto this piece. I know that's kind of insignificant, but there it is. The original OTF had 2 holes in the bottom. I kind of suspect pocket clip was where it was going to be there at some point. I didn't carry this that much, maybe a month or two, and the paint wears off on these cheap knives pretty quick. In fact, here's another one that I carried very briefly, and the paint just, you just scraped it off with your fingernail, like it's markered on or crayoned on or something. You know, looking at the molding is still a little shady down here in this end for some reason. The design, not that it really matters, but it's not as bad as this. It's like they didn't clean. They don't clean the whatever they make their. They didn't clean the molds before they poured more stuff in over and over and over or something. I don't know. I don't know how that process goes, but it is better on this knife. And I'm trying to look to see if it's exactly the same pattern. It is not. It's not exactly the same. It's very similar. So here's this side. I guess we got these lines. I've heard people call this something jimping or something all the way down. Gives you a pretty good traction. Something that's important to me is, can I open and close a knife with gloves on? And you can. You can do that with this knife pretty easily. So, I guess there's not a whole lot else I could say about the outside. I can weigh them. I've got a scale right here, and I was going to show the difference. There's more going on to this knife than just cosmetic pieces. So, we'll get to that in a second. So let's go ahead and weigh them. Of course, we got a low battery. $110 grams. 117 grams. Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin disassembly, so I can show you what the inside looks like. Okay, the screws are a different size from the old to the new. Okay. Screws were extremely loose and had zero Loctite on them when I disassembled this yesterday, and that's a that's a no-no, in my opinion, a relatively big no-no considering the amount of shock that goes on and all the moving parts here. Keeping this thing sandwiched together is part of how it functions. And this time, I'm going to try to look in the camera display for what I'm doing, which is one of my biggest mistakes in the other video I made. So there's the knife, nice and clean. In case you haven't seen what the original one looks like, to give us some perspective, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this one I have laying here. You know something? I should have done this. Whenever I disassemble OTF knives, I take the tension off the spring. And then just let the blade float in between the two locking points. Okay, so taking this top half off. Sometimes the Loctite likes to keep that together. So here's the old, and then here's the new. See if I can't zoom in on that. So there's quite a bit of difference there. I mean, it's the same concepts, pretty much the exact same concepts. It feels like this slide mechanism, I don't know what it's called, looks like it could be improved, meaning maybe they've improved it. I don't know for sure. What needed improved the most are these hooks. Let's go ahead and pull this piece out and pull. Of course, I didn't take the tension off that spring. Okay, there we are. So obviously we've got one spring on the new one, and as far as material goes, I can't identify differences, but it does look like it's a different material, maybe. And unfortunately, it looks like they've just bent it. Maybe it'll last. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. This is our failure points. These like to bend. That's already bent back a little bit since yesterday. I had that at 90 degree. It should be a 90 degree, like the one in the back. That's one of our key issues here with this knife. Basically that's the only issue I've had with the knife, is these hooks like to bend and break. As you can see, I had already had that bent yesterday at a 90 degree. It's already, just through playing with it a few times, it's already lost its angle. This piece appears to be thicker, heavier. This is very thin. Let's weigh them. I get the scale to work. Okay, 11 grams. 3. All right, let's weigh the spring assembly. That's the old. It's 4 grams. And it says 0. Let's tear that. Tear it again. I think it's acting up because of the batteries. 2, 0. What? Of course. 2, 4. So we got more weight in springs here, most likely. Mine has a very light coating of grease so that you can't hear the twangy sound. And then this one appears to be pretty dry. Okay, I don't know anything about springs. I don't know anything about metal. So I don't know, I really don't know what we're looking at here, but they are different shapes. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's see here. Let's try to keep all of this grouped together. This slide mechanism, I don't think will work over here. Let's make sure. I'm getting hung up on something. And I don't It's not deactivating the front lock. Okay, we put this one back in. Yeah, this one locks. Oh, that's another thing. This blade will just come out. Whereas on this guy, it will not just come out. We have a pin here. It acts as a stop. Now I can't get it out. I got it out yesterday. There we are. This will stick through the bottom of the blade like so, and then this catches right in here. You can see where it's been smashing up against it and deforming the metal a little bit. It's a little shiny. Maybe you can't see. It's worn unevenly into that corner. Not this corner, but that one. So I don't know enough about these to know why that's different. I haven't thought about it that much. But as you can see, the other blade's completely flush. Also the hook. Not trying to get too much into the theory of operation here, but that hook grabs that. That's what pulls the blade back in. And then the back hook actually catches right here and pulls the knife out the handle. Like so. So this mechanism slides and the knife slides. Okay. I've got a pretty thorough video talking about how exactly that works. Now, so what am I excited about? Well, I thought with a new knife, a new OTF, maybe people would get excited about them and maybe we'll get some spare parts. And we still might get them. I can tell you that being that this is the part that fails, this spring assembly, I was hoping that maybe somehow this would contribute to the parts availability or something. I don't know. Probably terrible logic, but so I thought, well, let's try it. Let's even see if what I was thinking is possible. So putting this knife back together, I don't think it'll go in with that piece in the way there. So I'll slide this in, get it past the lock, put this piece back in, and oh, I guess I didn't try this slide over here. I mean, I did demonstrate it's too big. It won't fit in there. Okay. So, but putting this back in here, trying to remember to watch the camera instead of my hands, which makes this a little more challenging. So, let's see here. This hook and spring assembly will work on this knife. It is a little tighter. But it does work. So just kind of slap this in there, put our button in here, and then just kind of sandwich these together temporarily. Bring it back into position. We got our spring twang sound. Okay, so a little bit of lubricant, and we'll be good to go. I can tell that spring is way tighter. It's quite a bit harder to get the blade moving. That's okay. So let's go ahead and pull this back on out. Now, I guess the other question is will the old spring work on this new slide mechanism? And the answer is no. It won't fit. It's very close, and you might be able to shave some material off. Oh, and the front hook is always shorter than the back hook. But it won't fit. It looks like it's going to fit, and you can stretch it over it. That's loose, first of all, so that's a problem. But it's also not sitting flush. It should be sitting flush. I'll show you what I mean in a second. If we put the original hooks back in here, you'll see that it sits kind of down in the channel. It's almost flush. Kind of sits down in that channel. Same with the back one. Nice snug fit. Okay, so that's that. Putting this back together. Super easy. I know I should reapply fresh Loctite. I'm not going to. Let's go ahead and zip these screws in here real quick. I'm probably going to pause the video once my hands are free, and then just zip these back together real quick. Okay, I've got them back together, and here they are. So, these are cheap OTF knives, and hopefully we'll see how this lasts. I'm going to play with this a lot on purpose to see if it falls apart. It's going to be my EDC package opener. A lot of times when I get new knives, I don't really even carry them for a while, but I think I got a 30-day warranty on it, so I'm going to beat on it for 30 days and see if it's built better than this. I want to like this, but that is so disappointing how that front hook falls apart. So I've got other OTF knives, I think I started with this. I think this was a gift, and it's an AKCF 16. I've been carrying this one the most, and I think I moved on. I think I went from this to this. I was afraid I was going to break the blade, so I went on to this, and then this told me I ended up going over to one of these guys. This is Atomic Defender, and I saw that Grindworks had a new Atomic Defender that was slim. I thought it would be the exact same knife. It is not. I thought maybe it would just be lighter and a little slimmer, but the same in every other way. That big blade, but it is not. And then I've got this guy over here, and I kind of was thinking self-defense with these, but after using them for a while, when your life is on the line, I don't know that I would trust these knives. They misfire on me too often to pretend like it doesn't. Now, I don't think this one's ever misfired. This one misfires occasionally. This one misfires, probably my fault because I've modified the spring to where it's quite a bit easier to deploy that blade. So you can have a misfire occasionally with this. I don't think this one's misfired, and this has barely been carried. It's not misfired on me yet. But as far as self-defense goes, I think that you can't go wrong with something like this. I'm not trying to plug this knife in a video that's about this knife, but in a self-defense situation, I can get this out of my pocket and the blade deployed quicker than any of these others because of this snaggletooth device. It hooks your pocket on the way out, and the blade opens on the way out of your pocket. So you're ready to go. Quite a bit bigger also. Significantly bigger. Even the handle's bigger. You can almost get 2 hands on that. They say it's a 6-inch blade. It's like, it's pretty close, but it's not quite 6. But anyways, you know, these are cheap OTF knives. This is what, 35 bucks or something. I think this one might have been more expensive. When I saw, I think the guy might have paid 60 bucks for this. Maybe 35 bucks, 35 bucks, 40 bucks, and then 35 bucks. This might have been 80 or 90. I don't remember. But if you're really serious about self-defense, I don't know. I know some people would be uncomfortable carrying a big blade like this, but that's what I would do. I would not recommend these knives for self-defense. I mean, will they work? Yeah, probably. But I'll tell you what, they are great at open packages. Opening those up right away with no problem. You know, if you have a misfire, big deal. You know, and that's another thing I guess I can share. If you do have a misfire, some people call that off track. It's not. Nothing is off track. It's just a misfire. If you're in this situation, you can go ahead and pull it on out, and boom, it's locked. Or, you know, something you can do is you can just flip it. Just flip it on out. Like so, and it's ready to go. So, anyways, that's all I had. I just really wanted to show that maybe there is a significant difference between the old OTF and the new. It kind of looks like there is. Time will tell if it holds up any better than the original. I don't see how guys are getting years of use out of these, especially this one with those hooks bending. I don't get it. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I'll report back maybe in a couple of months. See how things go, and I guess we'll go from there.